blessings and welcome back to the path to freedom, this beautiful journey that we are on where we get to set ourselves free. I mean, that's kind of a given, considering the name that I have called for this beautiful path. We can call it the path to freedom, we can call it the path of awakening, we can call it the path of enlightenment, we can call it whatever we want to call it, but it is the path where we get to take our power back, where we get to take our lives back, where we get to take our minds back, so that we may be in ever-expanding peace and love and joy and harmony, so that we may be ever more soaring and shining and glowing expressions of the one mind, the one and only loving presence, the benevolent loving presence that is all there is. There are so many different ways that we can articulate and describe this path, but it is about liberation, it is about freedom, it is about breaking free from who we used to be, so that who we are becoming may emerge over and over and over again. So this is not a one and done thing. This is not something that happens once, but this is something that we do over and over and over again. And this actually leads us into the topic of this particular message, which is, let's not be too hard on ourselves. But before we move into that, let me just say that my name is Daniel Roqueo, and that I'm very grateful and honored that you are choosing to join me, that you're choosing to tune in, that you're willing to do this work, that you're willing to walk this path, that you're saying yes to allowing for eternal expansion, for eternal unfolding. That you're saying yes to the next version of who and what you are to emerge over and over again and over again. It takes work, it takes practice, it takes us cultivating a new way of life, it takes us releasing and letting go of that which no longer serves. But it is worth it. It is worth it. So the topic for today is, let's not be too hard on ourselves. And I was recently asked by a student in one of my courses. They were sharing their experience. It was one of the manifestation courses, and they were sharing their experience of doing this work. And they were saying that they were getting exhausted, and they were beginning to feel depleted of constantly and continuously needing to monitor, observe, and witness their minds, of continuously turning their attention toward the good that they wish to experience, to continuously staying in a high vibration, to staying in an expanded consciousness. And while we absolutely need to do this work, if we want to learn to master the art of manifestation, if we want to allow for the good that we wish to experience to flow into our lives with ever expanding ease and grace, this is the work that we're being called to do. We need to reclaim ownership over our minds. We need to take back our minds, take back the power of our minds, or take back power over our minds and our attention, so that we more and more and more turn our attention toward, think, talk, feel about what we wish to experience, as opposed to what we don't wish to experience. However, we do not want to fall into the trap of the spiritual ego, which absolutely wants us to buy into such high standards, to set such high expectations on ourselves, that we should have come farther than this. I mean, I've been on this path for this many weeks now, and I should have learned this by now. I should know this by now. I've been on this path for years. I absolutely should have come farther than this. These are all ploys of the ego. Whenever we beat ourselves up, whenever we berate ourselves, whenever we judge ourselves, That's the ego. It doesn't serve walking this path. It doesn't serve us feeling good. It doesn't serve us being of any heavenly good here on this planet. So we absolutely always want to the best of our ability, be loving and kind towards ourselves. And as I responded to this individual and that beautiful question that they had, and the question that they asked really was, am I missing something? And in my response, I shared that this absolutely is about us being mindful, being in a witnessing and observing mode as to where our attention goes, as to what content is flowing through our minds. But just as much, this is about us cultivating. This is about us celebrating our way through life. This is about us, as Jesus said, be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world. He didn't mean to deny, he didn't mean to pretend to be happy if we're not. But what he was talking about is that we can choose to be in peace. We can choose to engage in activities that bring smiles to our faces, that brings us joy, that makes us laugh. When we are smiling, when we are laughing, we are in such a high vibration. We are absolutely hanging out in the vibration and the frequencies of all is well. When we are smiling, when we are playing, when we are dancing, when we are celebrating, when we are in appreciation, we are wide open channels and conduits for the good, whatever that good may be, for all the good that we wish to experience to flow into our lives. So we do not need to treat ourselves as slaves. We do not need to constantly make our minds go where we want it to go. We can just sort of invite it into playing by engaging in activities that bring us joy. It may be dancing, it may be playing, it may be painting or singing. So that we don't wear ourselves out. So that we don't, because it's, I know and I absolutely know this from my own personal experience, and I'm still getting hijacked by these thought forms that I need to make it happen. Not only the manifestation, not only that I need to make the manifestation happen, but I need to make my mind go wherever I want it to go, or wherever it needs to go to allow for the manifestation to happen. And that is hard work. That is hard work. But there is another way. Absolutely, we do need to treat our minds. We absolutely need to become aware of the small and limited thought forms, the sense of separation, the stories, the beliefs about not being enough, not having enough, lack, scarcity, about impossibilities. Absolutely, we need to become aware of these so that we can begin to treat our minds, so that we can begin to release and let these go. But being in that witnessing and observing mode 24/7, it doesn't serve us. It's I don't know what we will become or would become if we hung out in that space for 24 hours every day. But life is for living. If we look at nature, nothing in nature is taking itself very seriously. Nothing in nature is admonishing itself because it didn't live up to its own expectations. Nothing in nature is working itself into exhaustion or burning itself out. But all of nature is in such a beautiful state and space and place of rejoicing, of celebrating. of being fully here and now. No concern with any future moment. Not ruminating over past moments, but just being fully present here now, which reminds me, let's take a couple of deep conscious breaths to bring us back, to have that moment of resetting, of reclaiming our minds, of coming back to the nowness of this moment. So breathing in, and releasing. Another deep breath in. And releasing. And this is how we do it. This is how we break free from those old thought patterns, those old habitual ways of being and moving through life. So when we're feeling exhausted by the mind, when this feels too much, we can just take that deep and conscious breath, a couple of them, and then we can ask, how can I bring a smile to my face now? How can I allow myself to be lifted up? I don't have to lift myself up. How can I give something else, something outside of me, some activity, some other individual, permission to lift myself up, to lift me up? I'm reminded of an individual named Dr. Norman Cousins. I don't know if he's still alive or not, but this magnificent being, he was faced with some kind of disease that made his body become more and more paralyzed. So over a period of time, he became less and less able to move his body, his arms, his legs, even his head eventually. And he went to see many doctors asking for help. And they all said the same thing, that there's nothing we can do about this. There's nothing we can do about this. You're just going to have to endure till the end of your days. However, he didn't buy into that. He didn't buy into the prognosis. He didn't buy into the diagnosis, but he wanted health. So he set out on a quest to allow for health, wholeness, and healing to happen. And he began taking high doses of organic vitamin C, if I remember it correctly. And he began to laugh his way to health. So what he would do is that he would, every single day, for a minimum of 2 hours, he would sit himself in front of the TV, in front of, I don't remember the show. It was a comedy show. And so for a minimum of 2 days, he would laugh at this show. And lo and behold, his body began to regain the ability to move until he was completely and fully healed, until he had completely and fully recovered from a disease that a number of doctors had said couldn't be cured. He laughed himself to health. He didn't think about health. He didn't train his mind to go in a certain direction. He just allowed joy to well up. And the manifestation, the coagulation of the vibration of joy began to emerge into his life, into his experience. So we do not want to be too hard on ourselves. We do not want to push ourselves. There's no need for it. And this is a reminder to myself. just as much as anyone else out there. This is a reminder to myself to more lean into celebrating my way through life, to more lean into joy, to more lean into rejoicing, to more lean into gratitude, thanksgiving, appreciation. Allowing a smile to play across my face more than I'm already doing. Because when we allow ourselves to be lifted up into the vibration of joy, celebration, playing, having fun, we are lifted out of fears, worries, and doubts. We're lifted out of the sense of lack, scarcity, separation, or not being enough, not having enough. We're lifted into the feeling tone that all is well, and as the sacred laws can only reflect and mirror the predominant feeling tone. The manifestation, the demonstration of that feeling tone will begin to emerge. And even before that, even before the physical manifestation, our experience of whatever it is that we're moving through will completely shift. Remember, we own our experience. We own our experience. Whatever our experience is, it is the byproduct, it is the result of our perception. So as we move through life, celebrating, dancing our way through life, that becomes our experience. That life is joy-filled, that life is good, that life is awesome, that life is magnificent, that life is wonderful, that life is fun. We want to be mindful that as we're celebrating our way through life, that we're not doing it to get something. That is coming from a sense of lack, a sense of scarcity, a sense of separation. If we're doing something to get something, it means that in essence, we're saying that I don't have it. Whatever the good that I wish to experience, it is not here. It is missing. It is absent. It is somewhere else. So we want to do it unconditionally. We want to do it just for the sake of smiling. We want to smile for the sake of smiling. We want to laugh for the sake of laughing. We want to play for the sake of playing. We want to celebrate for the sake of celebration. We want to dance for the sake of dancing. Not to get somewhere, not to get something, but as a way of being. As a way of being. Let's take another deep breath in. And releasing. Another deep breath in. And releasing. This is where we want to hang out. And we don't have to force ourselves to find this space, to climb into this space. We can simply come back to the numbness in this moment, allowing the joy that we are, that is fully present, that is the truth and the essence of who and what we are, to well up from within. And if we need to engage in some kind of activity to lure it forward, to lure it forth, that is all right. We don't want to spiritually bypass what we're experiencing. So we don't want to pretend that we're not experiencing whatever it is that we're experiencing. We want to be aware of perhaps the fears, the worries, the doubts. We want to embrace and allow them. We want to witness and observe them, listen to them, and then we choose joy. And then we choose joy. Then we choose celebration. And when we fall, which we will, we always want to love ourselves up. We want to get up and we want to begin again. We do not want to be too hard on ourselves. We do not want to fall prey to the notion that we need to do it on ourselves, by ourselves, on our own, because we don't. We absolutely need to participate, but we are living in a friendly universe. This benevolent, loving presence is for us. It is eternally for itself. As we and it are one, it means that it is for us. So whenever we are in need of help, we can absolutely just reach out, say, help. And we will receive whatever it is that we need to receive. We need to receive it. It is always given. It is eternally given. But we need to receive it. We need to accept it. We need to get out of the way so that it may do its thing. Cool? I love being on this path. I love being on this path. Not saying that there aren't challenges. Not saying that I'm always enjoying the challenges, the spaces that I'm moving through. But I love being on this path, and I love being in this space where we get to remind ourselves, where we get to hang out in high-minded fellowship, where we get to remind ourselves of what is true and what is real, so that we may continuously soar, shine, glow, so that we may continuously rise to higher levels of vibration, continuously expand our consciousness. All is good and all is well. Thank you so much for tuning in, for participating. As always, until we meet again, I absolutely bless our days, and I bless our ways, in the full knowing that all is well, that something wonderful is happening, that everything is working for our highest good. With much love, many blessings. Namaste.